Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to Drums and Drams. My name is Cameron, and tonight I'm going to be tasting through a blind flight of all 4 releases of Bardstown Bourbon Company's Discovery Series. Now, let me quickly tell you how this video is going to work and why I am doing it the way that I'm doing it. So typically I do blind flights like this on my live streams, which are every Thursday night, and the particular week that I am recording this, I am unable to get on and do a live stream this Thursday evening, and that would be at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. But instead of just going dark and not doing a stream that night, I've decided to pre-record this blind flight essentially as a live video, and I'm going to run this as a video premiere in place of my live stream. So I would anticipate it's going to be between 20 and 30 minutes long. I have absolutely no idea, but going through 4 pours here in this blind flight, so it shouldn't take that long. Now, I just wanted to do this to kind of keep the channel active, keep my time slot on Thursday night, active, and get some more people involved even if I can't be there. So if you are watching this as a replay right now, I just wanted you to know that I'm going to do my best to not edit anything in here. Usually my videos, if you know my channel, are pretty produced. I cut out quite a bit of the fluff and some of the dead time as I'm nosing and tasting. And, sometimes it's good. Sometimes I cut too much out and the video just goes a little bit too quickly through. But this one is going to be one of those less edited videos. The only thing I'm going to do is throw in some background music to keep it a little bit more interesting. And as I go through and taste these blind pours, I will put the name of the particular batch somewhere on this part of the screen so that you know what I'm tasting at any given time. I think that's all I've got. So, again, you know what you're getting yourself into. There's going to be a little bit of dead time here. I do apologize for that, but I think this will be a good option and a good substitute for my live stream this Thursday, which I believe is March 4th, if you're watching this sometime later in the future. So, quick little thing here, Bardstown Bourbon Company, one of my absolute favorite distilleries right now. They're doing so much amazing work with their collaborative series, with their blending. It's just a great company all the way around, and I haven't really had a product that I'm like, that I hate, Some of it is not my cup of tea, but it's all quality craftsmanship, in terms of bourbon craftsmanship. I was able to visit the distillery in December 2020, and it was just a great experience. And I've been looking forward to doing this flight for quite some time. So I'm going to stop yapping at you. I have all 4 of these now poured out in these black Glencairns. They were mixed up by my fiance before I started recording this video. I have the answers on note cards here that are turned upside down, and obviously I'm not going to be looking at those, but she has given me an order here. The goal, I guess, is to kind of give you some blind notes for me to choose my favorite and to rank these 1 through 4, which I don't like doing so much, but I think it'll be really interesting to see because, these batches, I don't know some of them very well. You can see that I've only had a little bit of batches 1 and 2 here, and I'm more familiar with the ones in the back. So I'll be curious to see how this all turns out. First thing I'm going to do is a very, very quick down the line to get a good idea of proof and profile. So I'll give each of these like 30 seconds on the nose, and then from there, I will dig into each of them individually. Probably have to do a few side-by-sides to kind of solidify my order, and then I will make the final reveal at the end, and we'll call this a night or day or whenever the heck you're watching this. So let's go ahead and get started here with glass number 1. Just a quick little check-in here on the nose. Yeah, so the proof is really evident on these Glencairns. I typically use glasses that are a little bit wider of a base. So when I use these black Glencairns for my nosings and my tastings, it typically hits me a little bit harder than I'm used to because it's a little bit of a shallower bulb at the bottom. There's some great notes on this first one. Some nice cherries, really rich oak. It's great. But yeah, a pretty high proof batch there, I would say. And these batches are typically around 60% ABV, although batch 3 was 55 and batch 4 was 57.5. So, for what that's worth. Let's go to number 2 here, just really quickly, proof and profile. Oh, that's a very different profile. There's some more barrel char on number 2. Yes, as compared to number 1. 1 is fruitier, 2's got a little barrel char on it. Some nice like brown sugars, like some of those burnt caramel type notes. Yeah, that's great. Really great. And some apple on the top of number 2, right there at the end. All right, glass number 3 now. Let's check in on this one very quickly. Yeah, number 3 is a much lighter nose in terms of proof. 1 and 2 seemed pretty, voice crack, seemed pretty similarly related in terms of their proof. Profile was pretty different between 1 and 2. Now number 3, the proof has seemingly dropped on the nose. Yeah, there is some great like citrus quality to this one. There's some nice rye kick in there. Yeah, some like medicinal cherry type notes. Not in a bad way either. Okay, so that's number 3, and it's pretty sweet. Number 3 had some sugary qualities on the nose. And finally, glass number 4 here. Huh. 4 is interesting. 4 doesn't jump out of the glass to me for some reason. Like, the proof is higher than 3 was, which now, to me in my brain, 3 is the lowest proof on the nose. The palate could change that because these things can be deceiving, you know. But 4, the actual profile of the whiskey is kind of muted, but the proof is still high. So it's weird on the nose. Yeah. There's some really solid like oak funk in number 4. I thought I caught a hint of nuttiness, but I'm not sure. Again, I'm getting really great fruit notes on number 4. They're starting to blend together already. So that was my quick down the line, just to kind of get an idea of what we're working with here. So now let's go to number 1. We'll nose it a little bit more in depth here, and then taste it, talk about it, and we'll continue going down the line here. So glass number 1. Oh, this is a great freaking nose. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm going to just taste it. I'm just going to taste it, come back to the nose, and it'll probably unlock a few more things for me. So cheers. That is my first sip of whiskey for the night. Holy cow. Got the watery eyes. Oh. Oh my gosh. Really great cherry notes in there. I feel like all of these, I'm going to probably say that about most of these. They all tend to have some really nice dark fruits. Great cherry notes. Oh man. The oak funk and the woodiness kicks in pretty immediately on this one. Very sweet too. Like some syrupy sweetness going on in there. And the finish right now, absolutely mouth-watering. Slowly working its way down, you know, nice spice lingering in the back palate here. That's great. I'm going to have a little sip of water and have one more sip of number 1, go back to the nose and see if anything else becomes apparent here. No video edits, so I got to be quick. I can't pause between different sections of the video, you know. Oh, wow. Yeah, so I mean, in terms of like the caramelized type notes in here, you know, your caramels, butterscotches, brown sugars, and all that. This one to me just has a really nice, I don't know, it's solid, but it's not standing out to me. Like it's not like I'm going, oh wow, there's a really solid molasses note in this one, or creme brulee. Like this one is kind of down the middle in terms of its caramel profile. Fruitiness here, yeah, definitely. Like I got a lot of cherry. Kind of hard to tell. I mean, I'm getting a little apple on this one too. But by and large, this one is just, I don't want to overthink it. It's super standard, very much down the middle. Solid proof. Last sip here. A little bit of orange in there as well. Yeah, good citrus in there. It's great. It covers a lot of bases. It's basically like a down the middle bourbon profile for me, with a little bit of an extra rye punch, just a little bit that's kind of adding a lighter dimension to it in terms of maybe like that apple note I was talking about, and a little bit of that citrus in there too. So, one spectacular blend. Once you start getting it from the mid palate into the back palate, the woodiness becomes very, very apparent, and it gets nice and funky with those leathery, oaky notes at the end. So there we have it. That is number one. Very solid. Let's see how this stacks up now to glass number two. Yeah, glass number two immediately, like, this one is standing out now with some solid vanilla on the nose. Like, number one, I was almost at a loss for words because it was very well integrated and kind of hard to pick things out, honestly. Nothing was standing out too much to me. And maybe if I go back to this at the end, I'll be, you know, hating myself. Maybe I'll think I'm crazy, but number two here, solid vanilla. Yeah, a little bit lighter on the nose here for number two, which is interesting. Yeah, some like just really sweet vanilla frosting and cake type notes in number two. All right, let's try it on the palate. That one did not have the mouthfeel of number one. Not even close. I guess number one, I didn't know how good I had it. I like, sometimes I start off flights and I go like, oh, well, the first one, it's the first of a flight. It's probably not going to be the best. Because usually when you sit down and you pour yourself your own flight, not blind, you're going to go from like maybe lowest proof to highest proof, or least flavorful to most flavorful, whatever. So maybe I just subconsciously disregard the first pour in my flights here because of that. But it is now apparent that number one had an incredible mouthfeel. But as my first sip for the evening, I didn't have a point of reference. Number two, very thin, at least in comparison. So yeah, I'm just getting like solid vanilla, barrel char on number two. So almost like that's a very light, sweet note and a very dark note standing out. There is some nuttiness going on in here. Sort of like sharper caramels. Not as rich and butterscotchy as number one. This one's a little bit more pointed. A little sharper, a little brighter. Definitely some more green notes in this one. Absolutely. Yeah, that one's fine. Number one, to me, so far, I think is going to take the cake over number two. Number two, just a little bit out of balance in terms of the blend, because I said, like, there's this really light and really dark thing that's sticking out. The middle ground is a little wishy-washy, and on the palate, it's a little bit thin. So I think number one right now is probably in the lead, but we'll have to do some side-by-sides once I get through 3 and 4 to kind of make a better comparison here. All right. Because I am not editing this, let me check how I'm doing on time. I might have to restart my camera at some point here. I got about 15 minutes left on this take. Here we go. Glass number 3 now on the nose. Yeah, this one, as I mentioned in my first quick down the line, was a little bit lighter proof on the nose. A little gentler, but I'm getting a lot of citrus from this one. A lot of orange, candied orange, a lot of spice. It's reminding me of that MGP thing. I don't want to try to guess what these are. I could see this being Discovery 3 based on this profile. But very well integrated here, even at this lighter or lower proof and this lighter profile. It's so well integrated. Yeah, you get the top end with that rye, that green apple. You get the nice citrus note that's kind of bridging the gap into the caramels. And from there, you can still smell that underlying oak funk, you know, that underlying age that's kind of supporting everything here. It's a really well integrated nose. Let's check it out on the palate. Oh my God. Wow. Yes, it is a lower proof. But if you consider that and consider the mouthfeel relative to a lower proof, this is what I'll say. Like, you know, whatever that, however you could make a ratio out of that. Number one is a higher proof, clearly, and the mouthfeel is amazing at that proof. This is a lower proof, and the mouthfeel is equally as good at this lower proof, even if it's not quite as viscous and oily as number one. That is a spectacular bourbon. Oh my goodness, like medicinal cherry, but not offensive medicinal cherry. So much woodiness and oak going on underneath it. Very, very fruity and citrusy. The spice is lingering so well, not only in the throat, but also in the palate. All of that is lingering around. Oh my God. Number three. So number three and number one right now are definitely doing better than number two. Let's get to the final glass of this flight number four and see, you know, how this thing is going to stack up against the others. Let me nose it quickly, then I'm going to have to take a sip of water because number three is still going in the palate. Yeah, a little bit like number one in that, in the sense that nothing is exploding out of the glass or kind of sticking out or being, you know, kind of a signature note of this particular whiskey. Let me compare it next to number one, just for the heck of it. Yeah, kind of hard to tell. Let me take a sip of water, go back to number four. It feels so awkward knowing that I'm not going to edit this and that all of this will be in here. It's like a live stream, but just by myself. Very odd. All right, let me have a sip of number four, and then we'll go back to the nose. Damn. That's solid. Wow, tons of dark fruit in number four. Wow. Oh, yeah. That is a fruit explosion. Oh my goodness, that is amazing. You go back into the nose and then you start to smell those dark fruit. It's almost like they were just kind of contained in the glass. And that's what I said in the down the line in the very beginning. That first quick run through was that this one, the proof was coming out of the glass, but no real notes were popping out. It's like those dark fruit were just kind of hidden, you know? There is, I feel like I'm getting a little bit of nuttiness on this glass. I'm not sure though. Yeah, there's a sharper, it could be peanut or it could just be like that sharp caramel or brittle kind of smell on the top end of this thing. Let me compare it to number three. I'm curious. Oh yeah, three, you can definitely smell that sort of candied orange. I've got to assume that's Discovery 3, right? I mean, that would be the MGP in there. I've got to assume that, but you can smell a lot more candied orange on number three. Number four here, those dark fruit and that kind of nuttiness going on in there. So one more sip here of glass number four. Oh, great spice there. All right. Four has great spice. Maybe the most spice of all the batches. Like right now, it's almost offensively burning my tongue, to be honest with you. And a lot of people are going to really enjoy that. For me, it's a little bit too reliant on that pepper. I mean, it's really pepper spice. There's some cinnamon, but it's really heavy on the black pepper. It's a little bit reliant on that, glass number four. So what I'm going to do here is I can pretty much tell you number three is probably going to win out. And number one, like for me right now, it's glass three. It would be glass one in second place. It would be glass four in third place and Glass 2 in last place. But let me do side-by-sides now to either confirm or change that order. And then we're going to go ahead and wrap this video up. Let me do a quick time check here. How am I doing? I've got, I've got 9 minutes to finish this video for a 30-minute video. So, all right, let's get to it. Glass number 3, right here. Again, I'm going to be putting these up on the screen, and this is going to go against glass number 1. And just make sure 3 is my favorite, which I think it is. Okay, number 1 actually has a lot more vanilla now that I'm comparing it. Excuse me. Yeah, gotta leave that in. Gross. 1 has more vanilla now that I'm comparing it to number 3. Oh yeah, definitely sweeter. It's got that bundt cake type, you know, character in number 1. So let's take a quick sip of number 3. Oh man. I just love how number 3, it just got a little bit of everything, you know. And while I love high proof, I love like challenging bourbons, number 3 is something that I could just drink, you know, for better or worse. I could just put number 3 down. All right, let's go to number 1 now. Yeah, definitely those cake notes, those white cake or bundt cake or vanilla frosting, that kind of stuff is now apparent on number 1, which earlier I talked about how well integrated and how kind of down the middle number 1 was. So here we go on the palate. Yeah, that's a great freaking bourbon. For my taste, number 3 is going to win out. But I'm splitting hairs here. I mean, I love all these bottles. So it's tough to call, you know, this race here. But I'm going to say number 3 takes it for me. Number 1 is amazing. So now we have to compare number 1 to number 4. And let's get a feel for this. This is the interesting comparison for me because, you know, I think number 2 is pretty assuredly in last place right now, but I don't know. I'm going to assume it is. So I think we need to do number 1 versus number 4 now. All right. So this is 1. And now we go to number 4. Yeah, 4's got that nuttiness. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. There's got to be something nutty about number 4. And for those of you who watch my channel, I always talk about how subjective this is. I don't like nuttiness in my whiskey that much. If it's very well integrated, it's fine. But if it's sharp peanut, it just doesn't do it for me. And I've got to be honest, for my palate and the people who watch me who have similar palates, I've got to call that out and rank it accordingly. Even if objectively, someone who might like nuttiness would like the whiskey, I've got to give my own impression of it from my palate. So, you know, take that disclaimer how you will. Let's have a quick sip again of number 1 before we go to number 4. Just a small sip. Get it on the palate. Yeah, just a great freaking bourbon. All right, number 4 now. I'm calling these numbers, and in post-production, I'm going to be putting up the batches up here. So I'm going to say a number that, you know, may or may not correspond to the batch that you see. So I do apologize for that. You can't see the glasses in their order down here. I know that's the one flaw of this channel. Well, among many other flaws, I'm sure. All right, glass 4 on the palate. Interesting. 4 almost lacked character on that sip. I guess I need another sip. Mm. 4 almost has a candy bar-like quality to it. I talk sometimes about Snickers bars or, you know, something similar to that when I talk about, what was it? The old Ezra 99, but Larceny A121. That's what it was. Larceny A121 for me was like a bad Snickers bar. This number 4 has that quality. God, the spice, like I said last time, the spice at number 4 is freaking intense. Like, it's a little bit off-putting to me. Okay. With that said, that element of this bourbon, while many people would enjoy it, for me, it is so out of balance, and my mouth is on fire. Number 4 is not up to the standard of number 1, so I'm gonna go number 3 is in first place. Number 1 is in second place. Now we have to figure out, does the spiciness of number 4, does that out of balance spice relegate it to last place or not against glass number 2? All right, here we go. So 4, great. And now let's go to glass 2. Whoa, glass 2 is sickly sweet compared to number 4. Very interesting. All right, let's taste glass 2. Glass 2 has a lot of chocolate in it. I never noticed that until now. Really good amount of chocolate in number 2. Yeah, that's actually better than I thought on the first pass. God, it's like splitting hairs. It's killing me. I don't know what to do. Let's have a sip of number 4. Four is so intense. Again, some people are going to love that. They're going to love how intense that is, but I don't know. I hate doing this blind. I'm so not influenced. And when I taste these normally and my friends say, "Oh, I like this one," and I know I like this one, it's like, now that I do it blind, it is a totally different ball game, you know? That is a tough call. They're all tough calls. All right, I'm about to run out of time on my camera. Quick pause. We will come right back here, and I will finish this blind flight. And we're back. All right, great. So let's figure out what last place is going to be. I feel like an idiot. These are all so good. I don't know what to do. Let's test number 4 one last time. Okay, and number 2. I think it's number 2. That's what I'm going to say. Final answer, glass 3, then glass 1, then glass 2, then glass 4 in last place. And here's what I'll say. The difference between first and last place in this flight, you know, we're talking like a 15% difference maybe. And I don't care what batch of this you have. This is one of the best, how do I say it? Like the best representations of appropriately priced bourbon on the market that generally, as long as this is distributed to your state, you can still find on the shelf. Now, the Bourbon Junkies and ADHD Whiskey and a lot of people have hyped this up. Jason from the Mash and Drum, and heck, for what it's worth, I hype it up, but my channel is rinky-dink compared to those people. You know, it's still decently available on the shelf right now. It's appropriately priced for a, let's say, 10 to 15 year product because it is a blend. 130 bucks. It's not cheap, but if you're looking for a special occasion bourbon or just a high quality sipper, whatever the case may be, this is where you want to go. This is incredible, incredible work here. And I'm saying this just because the difference between first and last place today is so small. And the people who love batch 1 or they love batch 3 or batch 2 or 4, and if that comes in last place, I apologize. You know, this is what it is. And on any given night, this could be a different order for me, a different set of priorities. Had I drank bourbon before this, maybe I have a different set of, you know, different points of reference in my head, or a different thing that I want out of my bourbon, depending on what I let off with, you know, any given evening. Maybe the glasses could even affect it, because I'm drinking out of Glencairns. Usually I drink out of bigger glasses that have, you know, a little bit more of a dissipating alcohol effect on them. I'm rambling. You know what I'm saying, right? So let's get down to it. I said glass number 3 was in first place. Let's go from last place to first. So glass number 4 is, well, that's not great. Discovery 2. That sucks. It had more nuttiness than I remembered. I love Discovery 2. Crap. All right, which one is that here? It is this one. It is 61.1% ABV. I love Discovery 2. And see, like, doing it blind, all of that spice that was in Discovery 2 was a little bit out of balance and just a little bit off-putting compared to the others. Jeez Louise. All right. In third place, excuse me, is glass number 2, and that is Discovery 4. Okay, so Discovery 4, for me, typically it's never really done it for me. And I figured this would make it into my bottom 2 of the flight, and it did. My Discovery 4 I actually purchased at the distillery, so Stu Plush, the blender of this batch, this is a signed bottle by him. And yeah, this is the one that includes that mystery 15-year mash bill, the 78.5 corn mash bill that so many people sourced and released this past year. So that one was in third place. Here we go. Number 1 was in second place, and that is Discovery number 1. And that is over here. Discovery number 1 has a crazy blend of different things going on in there. I see some 11.5-year Barton, which makes up most of the blend. I see a little bit of Heaven Hill 13-year in there, and I see some what I would assume to be Wild Turkey 10 and 5-year in there. That means that glass 3, which is batch 3, came in first place. Discovery number 3 was my winner. That has been my perennial favorite of the bunch. As you can tell, I have this much left. Clearly, I enjoy this stuff. I have one more bottle in my basement bourbon bunker, and I'm going to be sad to crack that open, because that means it's the last of Discovery 3 that I have. That one is an incredible blend. It includes the MGP component in there, which adds that rye kick, that candied orange. You know, it just has an incredible balance in Discovery number 3. So no matter which Discovery batch you have here, if you're paying between, you know, 120, even 150 bucks for this off the shelf, it's a great deal. I snagged my Discovery 2 for $80 in Indiana. It was like one of the most amazing moments in my life. And even though Discovery 2 is in last place in this flight, I typically, when I'm drinking these not blind, I gravitate towards Discovery 3 or Discovery 2. The fact that 1 beat 2 is interesting for me. So I'm going to have to revisit this. I'm sure I will do this blind another night with different glasses and under different circumstances, but that is all I have for this evening. Thank you so much for watching this video, for hanging with me as I, you know, went through this and tried to figure out what I thought about these blind pours. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, come back for more. I've got some really exciting stuff on the way, whether you watch this the day that it comes out or a year from now. I've got some exciting stuff on the way, you know? So come back for more. Check out a live stream as of the recording of this video. That is Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. But I think that's all I've got this evening for all of you. So thank you again for tuning in. Thanks for supporting the channel. I am going to end with this Discovery Batch number 3 as my final pour of the night. So thank you all, and cheers from Drums and Drams.